Good day everyone! Another day of learning po para sa ating lahat. Again po, my name is Sir Joel Cruz Pascua. I am a registered nurse and welcome back po sa ating channel. Kapag bago ka lang po sa channel na ito, please do subscribe naman po sa ating channel. Like, comment, and share na rin po para mas marami pang makaalam ng ating mga videos. So let's go now to our next topic for today. Okay, as you already know, I am focusing my discussions to different nursing topics, but for the past few weeks, I am focusing my discussion to community health nursing because this is one of the I do say that this is the topic that I've actually gamay. Okay, so ito yung pinakasanay ko, and of course, this is my major. Okay, in general, so it's all about community health nursing process. Okay, now the topic that we're going to discuss today is related to our previous discussion about your community health nursing process and family health nursing process. But for today, we will be focusing more on the family nursing process, the third step on the nursing process po ng family nursing practice, which is your planning. Okay, under the planning phase of your family health nursing process, meron po tayong tinatawag na prioritization of health problems. In our previous discussions, we did discuss about different health problems in the community, in the family, in the circle of the family. Actually, na-discuss natin yun. There are two levels. We have your first level and your secondary level. Okay, and the first level referring now to the nature of the problem, which is the one that is included in the criteria, okay, for in prioritizing health problems in the family nursing care process. Okay, so that is the focus that we are going to discuss today. So just like I said, the topic that we will be focusing today is part of the planning process, and this is your prioritization of health problems. So prioritization of health problems, according to Maglaya, which is a book of community health nursing, is a process of ranking the family's identified health problems or nursing problems using the scale for ranking health conditions and problems according to priorities, which is devised by Bailon and Maglaya. So basically, this is the one that we use in the Philippine setting in terms of prioritizing health problems. In our previous discussions about the family health problems, okay, once you go to their home and conduct home visit and you have identified several problems in the family, within the family, you cannot solve everything at once. You have to prioritize which problem should you focus first in order for you to go with the other problems. So hindi po natin siya pwedeng pagsabay-sabayin. That's why it's very important for us to prioritize which health problem should be identified as the priority. And based on that, kung ano po yung number one doon sa ating ranking system, which is the scale for ranking system of health problem, yun po yung uunahin nating bibigyan ng solusyon. And the question now is, how are we going to do that? How are we going to prioritize health problems? What are the things that we need to consider in order for us to come up with the priority health problem? Okay, so in prioritizing health problems, there are different criteria, okay, that was set. And this was established, as I said earlier in the definition, by Bailon and Maglaya, which are two great authors of community health nursing books. Okay, so these are the following criteria that we need to consider. Number one is, what is the nature of the problem? Okay, so what is the nature of the problem or the condition that is presented? Okay, next is modifiability of the problem, okay, or the condition. So how modifiable is does the condition is, okay? Pwede ba natin siyang baguhin for the sake of the betterment of the patient or the family? Okay, another one is how preventable the condition is. Okay, and the last one is salience. We are going to define each and every one of these criteria in order for us to understand this better. Okay, so let's start with the nature of the condition or nature of the problem. So for the nature of the problem, just like I said during the first part of our video, okay, we already discussed this as part of your identifying the two levels or the typology of nursing problem in the family nursing practice. Okay, this is actually the first level of assessment under the typology of family nursing practice. And when I talk about nature of the problem, okay, or the first level of assessment. If you want to know more about that, by the way, I have a video, okay, also in our channel, and I'm going to post the link sa ating description box, okay? So the nature of the problem includes the first level assessment, which includes now the problem classification. So under this, we are going to classify the condition, okay? If it's a wellness status, a health deficit, a health threat, or a foreseeable crisis. And the other name, by the way, for foreseeable crisis is your stress point. By the way, I do sorry for the uh, for the for the misspelled word there. It's cris. It should be crisis. Okay, foreseeable crisis, and that is also known as your stress point. Okay, so these are the four classifications of problems or the nature of the problem under your family nursing practice. And each of this problem has different scores. Okay, so your wellness status and your health deficit both scores 3, which is the most priority among these 3 problems or 4 problems. Health threat will get a 2 points, and foreseeable crisis only has 1 point. Okay, and by the way, if you do want to know more about this classification of problems, please do watch the typology of health problems in family nursing practice na nasa ating description box. Okay, and part of the prioritization is to give or to compute for the total weight of the problem that was identified. For example, if the condition is a wellness status, okay, that the total score is 3, and the total weight for this criteria, which is the nature of the problem, is 1. Okay, so ano po yung significance ng mga numbers na ito? Later on po, i-discuss natin, okay, sa last part ng ating discussion, and I'm going to give examples as well in order for you to understand and for you to know on how to compute, okay, for these criteria as part of the prioritization process, okay, in your family nursing care plan. Okay, so pag-uusapan po natin mamaya yan. Again, wellness status scores 3, health deficit scores 3, health threat scores 2, foreseeable crisis scores 1, and the total weight for this specific criteria, which is the nature of the problem, is 1. Okay, let me go now to the second criteria, which is the modifiability of the problem. So modifiability of the problem refers to the ability of reducing, controlling, or eradicating the problem. Okay, so this is basically how modifiable or how changeable, okay, the condition is. If the condition is something that we can change fully, okay, or partially, or something that we cannot change. Okay, yung ma-identify nating problema. Okay, ma-identify nating problema. So basically, you're going to reduce that. How modifiable, how changeable the condition is or the problem is. Okay, so these are the factors on how to check for the modifiability of the condition. Okay, paano natin siya identify kung siya po ba ay partially, fully modifiable, or non-modifiable? Okay, ma-modify natin siya, or we'll be able to identify how modifiable the condition is basing on these factors. Okay, number 1 is the current knowledge, technology, and interventions to enhance the wellness state or manage the problem. So this basically referring now to the identified problem. Okay, regarding the identified problem, what is the current knowledge available regarding the problem, technology, and interventions to enhance the wellness state or to prevent or to change, okay, the problem itself. Ano yung mga recent discoveries natin, developments about this particular condition? Like for example, tuberculosis. Way back 1990s below, nung wala pang mga bakuna, okay, at hindi pa available ang drugs, napaka-dreadful. Okay, talagang nakamamatay ang sakit na tuberculosis. But as times goes by, okay, more researches are done, okay, na-identify na kung ano yung proper way of diagnosing diagnosing the condition. Na-identify na rin po yung proper way of treating the conditions with proper antibiotics, and of course, na-identify na rin or na-discover na rin or na-develop na rin yung proper vaccine to cure the condition. So basically, it will make the situation more modifiable kasi nga mas available na yung mga knowledge na ito. Aside from that is the resources of the family. Of course, in dealing with health conditions, it requires a lot of resources coming from the family in terms of the physical, financial, and manpower. Okay, do they have someone to take care of the members who are sick? Okay, in terms of financial, do they have the financial capability to sustain the treatment? And of course, physical, are they physically fit to handle the condition? Like for example, both parents ay merong sakit or may tuberculosis, paano yung mga anak? Kaya ba nilang alagaan yung mga magulang nila? Okay, so things like that that we need to consider. Another one is the resources of the nurse. Of course, we are the frontliners in terms of these conditions. So in the community, we have to make sure that the resources of the nurse is also available. Like for example, knowledge. Do we know something about the condition? Skills. Are we equipped with the proper skills to handle the situation? And of course, the time. Okay, kung pag-uusapan po natin siguro yung time, medyo magkakaproblema tayo. Especially here in the Philippine setting, we're in siguro ang ratio ng accepted ratio ng nurses is 1 is to 20,000, which is too much actually sa community health nursing. But the thing is, we have to, kaya nga gumagamit tayo ng konsepto na equity. So equity, we provide the intervention to the population that is most in need. Okay, that is why we have to do the proper time management, sabi nga po nila. And of course, the last factor is the resources of the community. When I talk about the resources of the community, do we have a health center in the area? Okay, do we have the proper diagnostic tests? Nagagawa ba dun sa health center natin? Meron ba tayo ng proper medication, of course? And of course, the medical officers, may doktor po ba? Okay, and of course, programs available to address the condition. So these are the factors that we need to consider, okay, in identifying if the condition is a partially modifiable, fully modifiable, or non-modifiable. And once we identify that, we will be able to put a score. Okay, so the characteristics of the condition, it can be easily modifiable, which is scores 2, partially modifiable scores 1, and not modifiable scores 0. Kasi wala tayong magagawa. And as you can see, the score is 2 compared to the nature of the problem, which is only 1. Again, we will be discussing later on what is the significance of this score and weight doon sa ating prioritization. Okay? And the next criteria for the prioritization is the preventive potential. For the preventive potential, this is the nature and magnitude of future problems that can be minimized or totally prevented if interventions are done on the condition of problem under consideration. So basically, how preventable? Gaano kalaki yung chance na maiwasan, okay, or ma-prevent natin na mangyari yung condition. And under this, there are several factors also that you need to consider, okay, to determine the preventive potential of the condition. Number one, there is the gravity or the severity of the problem. Okay, how severe the condition is, okay, in terms of affectation doon sa family, gaano na naapektuhan yung kanilang pamilya. Another one is the duration of the problem. Okay, so duration of the problem, so gaano katagal? Okay, gaano katagal? Current management, what are the current interventions that is available in relation to the present condition? Okay, and of course, exposure of any vulnerable high-risk group. Okay, yung degree of exposure of a possible person or a member of the family that can be affected with the same condition. That is our preventive potential factors. And again, i-scorean din po natin sila. So preventive potential can be graded as high, moderate, or low preventable. If it's highly preventable, it's 3 points. Moderately preventable, it's 2 points. Score is 2. Low preventable is 1 point. And the total weight for this particular criteria, which is preventive potential, is 1. Okay, so those are the things that we need to know about your preventive potential. Again, with regards to the scores and weight, we are going to discuss that later on, and I'm going to give examples, okay, in order for us to understand this better, and of course, magkaroon tayo ng first-hand experience on how to really compute, okay, for the prioritization using the criteria that was set, okay, and identified during the home visit, yung mga na-identify natin problema at paano natin sila i-rank. We will be ranking them by score. And of course, that is for your preventive potential. Okay, so again, those are the three criteria. So 3 out of 4 criteria of for in prioritizing problem in family nursing practice, which is your nature of the problem, modifiability of the problem, and the preventive potential. Okay, and last but not the least, okay, the last criteria that we're going to discuss under your family nursing care plan is your salience. When I talk about salience, guys, so focus tayo sa salience. When I talk about social concern po kasi it's more on a wider scope kasi ang social concern po is more on community level while your salience is focused on your family. As the definition says here, salience, the 4 criteria for prioritizing problem in family nursing care plan. Okay, salience is the family's perception. Okay, it's the family's perception. Let me just underline that. It's the family's perception and evaluation of the condition in terms of the seriousness and urgency of attention needed or family readiness. So basically, this is in relation to the community concept wherein the family should be the one to recognize their own problem. They should be the one to recommend solutions to their problem and act on their problem. Okay. Take note that in the community health nursing po, the primary goal of community health nursing is to increase the capability of the people. Basically, we want them to become independent. We want them to become self-reliant community. Okay, wherein they should be able to perform tasks that they should be performing as a member of the community. Okay, hindi po yung nakaasa sila sa kung ano magagawa ng gobyerno para sa kanila. It's more on dapat kung ano ang magagawa nila para sa gobyerno. Kasi we want them to achieve yung independence. If you try to remember mga previous discussions natin with my videos, okay, yung primary healthcare natin, gusto natin maging empowered. Okay, empowered ang community. That's why we want to establish a partnership between the community and the healthcare system. Okay, that is why under this criteria, okay, we are trying to determine how well the family recognize the problem and what do they think about the problem. Okay, and of course, since this is a scoring system, okay, we are going to prioritize according to the score of each of the problem based on the criteria presented. Okay, we are going to score them. So, depende po yan if the family does not perceive the problem, okay, and if they don't perceive it, of course, they will not act on it. Okay, and of course, the score for that is 0. Okay, and a condition or a problem is not needing an immediate attention. Basically, they recognize the problem. However, they don't think that the problem requires an immediate attention. And the last one is that if they recognize the problem and at the same time they act on it, they provide immediate solution or immediate attention to that problem, the score is 2. So the highest score for this criteria is 2, the lowest score is 0. And the weight on this particular criteria, okay, is 1. Okay, so if you just try to remember, guys, yung 4 criteria natin, the highest score, the first criteria is your nature of the problem, and under that criteria, there are 4 things that we need to look into. Kapag nature of the problem, the wellness state, the health deficit, health threat, and foreseeable crisis. So the score for that one is 3, 3, 2, 1, and the weight for that particular criteria is 1. The next one is modifiability of the problem. The score, the highest score is 2, the lowest score is 0. So that's not modifiable, partially modifiable, and easily modifiable. And this criteria has the highest weight, okay, for the prioritization, which is 2. Okay, and the third one, preventive potential, is the problem easily highly preventable, moderately preventable, or low preventable. So the highest score is 3, the lowest score is 1, and the weight for this one is 1. And for this criteria, salience, there are 3 categories as well, and the highest score is 2, the lowest score is 0, and the weight is 1. Okay, so after identifying or after knowing all the criteria and the things that we need to do to check on each criteria, okay, these are the following examples of problems, okay, example of problems that we may identify. Okay, for example, okay, COVID-19, positive member of the family is an example. So in terms of the nature of the problem, okay, in terms of the nature of the problem, this is an example of health Okay, deficit. Kasi nga, presence of illness. Okay, remember ang definition natin ng health deficit: if there is presence of illness, presence of disability, or developmental delay. And of course, ang score nito is 3. Another example is COVID-19, ability to transfer from one person or from one family member to another. This is an example of a health threat. Okay? Health threat siya kasi ang nag-focus natin yung sentence or your phrase in the ability of the disease to be transferred from one person to another. And of course, ang score nito is 2. Another one is COVID-19 hospitalization. That is an example of your foreseeable crisis or your stress point. Okay? At ang score naman nito is 1. Okay, and another one is your all family members are vaccinated. This is an example of a strength, okay, strength of the family, and this will categorize under the nature of the problem as your wellness status. So wellness status is also scores 3. So after identifying the score of the nature of the problem, okay, so for example, these are the identified problem in that family na home visit mo or pinuntahan mo, okay, as a frontliner health worker in the community. So you have identified this problem in the in the family, within the family circle. Okay? Ngayon, hindi mo naman ito masosolve ng minsanan, okay? Ng sabay-sabay. Okay? The thing that you need to do is you have to prioritize which problem should be prioritized first based on the criteria that was provided. So itong dinidiscuss natin as of the moment is just the score sa nature of the problem. The first criteria. How about the other criteria? Okay. So, kailangan alamin mo rin yung score nila sa modifiability of the problem, alamin mo yung score nila sa preventive potential, and alamin mo rin po yung score nila sa salience. Okay? So, before we go to the example computation, let me go first to the steps on how to score the criteria. So, what are the steps that we need to follow? Number 1 is you have to determine the score per criterion. Yun yung ginawa natin kanina. I-identify mo muna kung ano score niya sa nature of the problem. Then after that, identify the score sa modifiability of the problem based on the factors of the modifiability. Identify the preventive potential of the problem based on the factors of the preventive potential criteria. And the last one is your salience. How does the family recognize the problem? Okay, how do they recognize it? And how do they think? How do they act on it? Okay, the next one is you get you have to divide the score that you get, okay, to the highest possible score in that specific category or criteria. Okay, then you have to multiply it by the weight. Then after that, get the sum of all the scores and add it together, and you're going to rank all the problem, each nursing problem. So the problem that has the highest score will be considered as the priority problem, and the problem that has the lowest score will be considered as the least priority. So para mas maintindihan natin to, so just going to give one example, guys. Okay, so the rest is ganun pa rin naman po ang gagawin nyo. Okay, so irarank nyo lang po sila kung ano yung may pinakamataas na score at may pinakababang score. So like for example, COVID-19 as a health deficit. So you have identified the first problem. So yung isang problem mo, yung 4 na na-identify mo, magko-compute ka na ngayon. Okay, COVID-19 is a health deficit. So kung health deficit siya, anong score niya according to the nature of the problem criteria? Ang score ng health deficit is 3. Okay, in that nature of the problem criteria, ano yung highest score? 3. Then after that, you are going to multiply it dun sa total weight nung nature of the problem or nung specific criteria na yun. So this specific criteria has a weight of 1. Okay, so equals, lagyan natin yung score dito. Same thing here. Okay, so i-compute natin yan. 3 divided by 3 is 1 times 1 is equals to 1. Then justification. You're just going to answer why is it a health deficit. As simple as that. That is already your justification. Bakit siya isang health deficit? Okay. Another one. Okay. So modifiability of the problem. COVID-19 is a new disease to us. So basically yung mga available information and intervention is only limited. So more or less yung current knowledge, which is one of the factor identifying the modifiability of the condition, hindi natin ma-achieve. Okay, so there are 4 factors. If you can just go back sa mga previous slides natin, okay, within these videos, mailala natin that there are 4 factors that we need to consider in identifying the modifiability of the problem. Okay, if all the factors are not met, so that is considered as not modifiable. Okay, so if 2 to 3 factors or 1 to 3 factors, okay, 1 to 3 factors are met, that is considered as partially modifiable. Pero pag lahat ng factors are met, that is considered as fully modifiable. So in this case, since limited pa rin ang knowledge natin regarding your COVID-19, you are going to score it as 1, which is partially modifiable. The highest score on this specific criteria is 2 times the total weight, which is 2 is equals to. So 1 over 2, that's 0.5 multiplied by 2, that is 1. Okay? Ganon din po sa preventive potential. You're going to consider the four factors in identifying the preventability of the condition. So for example, the condition is moderately preventable. So the score is 2. Highest score is 3 times the total weight, which is 1 equals 2. That's 0.67 times 1. So 0.67. Paki-check na lang po. Okay? And salience naman po. For example, the family do recognize it as a problem and they think it requires an immediate solution. So ang highest score, ang score natin doon is 2. Highest score on that category is 2 times the weight, which is 1. So ang sagot natin dito is 1. Then you're just going to add, that's your 3.67. Of course here, why is it partially modifiable? Okay? Why is it moderately preventable? So, sasagutin mo lang yung tanong yan. Why is it, okay, why do you think it is, yung verbatim ng ating mga patient, yung ating family. So, why do they think it is a condition that was recognized and concerns immediate, it requires immediate attention? Okay, so sasagutin nyo lang po yung mga tanong na yan. Okay, in each of the category for the justification. Then you are going to repeat the same procedure with all the problems that were identified. Okay, then afterwards, you're going to rank them, okay, which problem has the highest score, and the problem that has the highest score will be considered as the priority problem. Okay, and the problem that has the lowest score after computation will be the least priority problem. Okay, priority problem. So that's how you're going to compute for the prioritization. Then after that, okay, that's the planning part. Then after that, based on the identified problem, you will now going to create your goals and objectives based on the identified problem, okay, which will be your priority. And then after that, you will go now to the next step of the nursing process, which is your implementation. And under your implementation, you're going to determine the interventions required in order for you to achieve the goal that you have set based on the identified priority problem. Okay? Doon sa list na nilista mo. Okay? Upon or after computation. So that is the planning phase of the family nursing process under the prioritization of the family nursing problem, okay, through computation using now the 4 criteria of your family nursing care process, okay, in identifying the priority problem, which are your nature of the problem, modifiability of the problem, preventive potential, and salience. Again, let me just emphasize here that among all the criteria, the most priority criteria or the most important criteria is your modifiability of the problem because it has the highest weight. And salience is based on the recognition of the family if that is something that they recognize and they think requires an immediate attention. Okay, so that would be all, guys. So if you did like this video, please subscribe to our channel kung di ka pa nakapag-subscribe, and please comment down naman po sa ating comment section. Like and share na rin po sa mga kilala nyo na they think will also benefit from these videos. And again, guys, please do support our channel po. That's one way of you supporting us by subscribing and of course liking the video. So for more Questions po, you can comment it down sa ating comment section. For suggested topic po na gusto nyo i-discuss natin, comment it down sa ating comment section. And I'm gonna see you on our next videos. That would be all, and ingat po lahat. Bye for now.